Welcome, supers, back to another Shark Tank Tales. I have a very fun guest here today who was on Shark Tank. I believe it was season 12, episode 5. I
That is
believe it
correct.
was. That
Yep.
dang, I nailed it. Okay, and today we're going to talk about his Shark Tank experience. Pre Shark Tank, during Shark Tank, and post Shark Tank. Because now it's been a little while since he's been on. I guess like about a year ish
Yeah, it's been
since it aired.
yeah, either November, I think November 14, 2020. So yeah, about like a year and 2 months, more or less.
Awesome. Well, before we get into that, I need you to give a super claps round of applause for our man, one of the two co-founders of Foam Party Hats, Super Manuel. Woo! What's going on today, Manuel?
Yeah,
How are you doing?
doing great, doing great. Really excited to be here and talk a little bit about our experience in the tank and what's been the company about and how we're doing so far.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's start. First off, Shark Tank. Were you a fan of Shark Tank? Before getting selected to be on the show, or like do you watch a lot of it? Give me your background here.
Yeah, I used to be the guy always watch it and like think about, oh man, that's such a stupid deal. Why is take the deal? And getting into the mindset of doing the show. And probably the time that I used to watch it like really religiously. My mom was starting the like she was doing the business. It wasn't called Fun Party Hats yet or anything at all. She was just making hats of herself. And I always thought like, yeah, can you imagine like bringing our idea and the hats to Shark Tank? That would be so crazy. And well, fast forward to 2020, we managed to get in, and it definitely was a life once in a lifetime experience. I'll tell you that, especially on the year that we were like the year we were having with all the pandemic. Our company relies on parties, and with quarantines and whatnot, ourselves were pretty bad. So it was a really bright spot to be on the Shark Tank on such a tough year.
Yeah, I mean, you were during your season was a season that you actually ended up having to quarantine prior to going out onto the floor, which is I mean, a whole nother dynamic of craziness of trying to juggle business, your time at your point, a full time job, and then learning how to you're gonna pitch this thing and walk away with a deal. So it had to have been quite stressful, I imagine, leading up like
Yeah,
right
and
up to it.
especially being stuck with your mom for 7 days in a hotel room without privacy.
So wait. So you shared a room with yours because
Yeah.
I forget who was it that went on with her dad. They didn't share a
Mhm.
room. They
Oh
they
my
they had
God,
separate
that
rooms.
is that. I didn't know that was an option. Now I'm gonna complain.
You should go back and say complain. Well, the problem was they had to prepare their pitch through Zoom,
Mhm.
even though they were like right next to each other. Like the
Oh
rooms,
no,
like I
so
assume
yeah,
were like right there, but
yeah,
they
no. In
weren't.
that case, it was pretty good because you know, having to quarantine allowed you to focus on just getting ready. You didn't have any more distractions or whatnot. So like religiously every morning it was like, okay, time to practice, and then in the afternoon, okay, time to practice. Like, oh, I'm sick of it. Yeah, no, we still need to practice. So, and it went out, it went well, it went pretty really well the time we did it. So can't complain.
That's awesome. So did you apply to be on Shark Tank or did they seek you out?
Yeah, so I applied, but it was that kind of things that when we founded the business, and at the time I applied, it was still like it was mostly my mom's work on it. I was just like supporting her and making it up more like a legit business as opposed to her just making hats selling it to people. And I just saw like, I think this is quite different, and what the hell, let's apply to Shark Tank. And I know I applied to it in a really crappy website, and it seemed kind of iffy, but I apply, I fill everything out, and then I remember I was running on the park like 8 months after I applied, and I got a call from California. It's like, oh yeah, this is the Shark Tank. We just want to spoke with you. And I was like, God, I cannot believe that went through, and that's how it started.
That is so yeah. I mean, and I, at the time, we were all. I don't know about you, but like I was, and most of the country was being inundated with, your car's warranty is about to expire. So
Exactly.
answering phone calls was like, do I really want to answer this? Do I really want to let
Yeah.
them know that I exist?
Yeah, it's like, oh, this freaking span. But yeah,
Yes,
it was a
absolutely.
great call, a great call. Like, and it's the kind of stuff you never expect, and then when you're like taking, you're like, oh my god, is this for real? So yeah, really really exciting.
Yeah, it is right because I always feel like whenever I get those kinds of calls that are like it almost sounds like too good to be true. Like
Yeah,
is this really happening to me? It's like is it going to be like not a prank call, but is it going to like some like there's no way, right? Like it's
yeah, you don't
something's
want
going to
to.
happen or come up or
This
change or
this is too good to be true kind of deal, and then you're like, ah, this probably like this not the real thing. So they're just calling a bunch of people, not really being considered. But when you start like talking with people and getting the emails and stuff, it's like, oh wow, this is real. The funny thing is that I remember I applied early 2019, and we got called for season 11, not 12, but we didn't because we got in late in the process on that season for the casting. We didn't have time, so they couldn't fit us in. But like right when the pandemic hit, like I'll say April, so when we were completely desperate, that's when we got a call saying, "Oh, so I mean, because we couldn't fit you in last year, um, are you interested in doing it this year?" And it's like, of course we're interested.
and it's what so did the nervousness start to set in where it's like we have this illness going on, parties aren't exactly popping off, and and here's our moment is about to happen here.
Yeah, yeah, no, and so it was kind of good because it allows to prepare. Sales were, like as I mentioned, really really bad at that time. But something that we came up at that time was the virus hat we used on the show. So that was pretty much saving our butts because something having like a hat, reminding people to keep your distance and being so silly and so fun. Like people were buying it like crazy. But I remember like the first time when this happened is when everything was shut down. A lot of people canceled orders. We had to refund money, blah blah blah. And I just told my mom like, hey, we just need to come up with something that we can sell, even we don't have parties. We came up with the idea, and I remember like I was going to the supermarket, just wearing the hat, and there people taking pictures of me and asking me where I got the hat. So I made a shirt that said like, if you like my hat, go to funpartyhats.com. So that's how we managed to stay afloat on the meantime, and preparing to Shark Tank and whatnot.
I love that, and I think that's as a perfect lesson there for
Yeah.
anybody who creates things that stands out. Even if you don't create things that stand out, get something to stand out so that people have a reason to care, to take a picture, to have the advertising, and make some noise, right? And that's like marketing 101, right? I don't even know if
Yeah,
I'd call it guerrilla marketing. It literally is just marketing.
you gotta be the first one, the first ambassador of the brand, no matter what.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, okay, so you get the call, and you start to figure out like how did you go? What was your plan for pitching? How did you go put together like how are you going to make this happen? Now, as a person who watches a lot of Shark Tank, you've seen a lot of pitches go right, pitches go wrong. What was going through your mind is like what should I put into this pitch that's going to hit it, drive it home that like yeah, business ain't great right now, but that's just right now, and we even with that, we're still making it happen.
Yeah. So one of the big things that we did, was our product is not. I always say like our product is not about selling the hats. It's just how fun the hats are. Like people wear them, and it's like they just cracking laughing all the time because they're so freaking ridiculous. You look like a cartoon. So when we started discussing, how we wanted to approach the pitch, we just wanted to do it fun, like super energetic, super fun, so they can understand the meaning of the product. It's not like, oh, this is just some ridiculous hat. It's how fun the hats are, and like how people become so happy with it, and that kind of stuff. So that was the first thing we did. And in terms of preparing for the actual pitch, discussion with the Sharks, I think I watched all the seasons. I cramped all the seasons in like, I don't know, probably like a month or so. I saw all the episodes, took a bunch of notes on like the main things they're asked. But just completely on being honest with you, if you're running your business, all the questions they throw at you, it's kind of odd, like you don't know them because you're like dealing with that stuff day to day, day to day, day to day. So it was I feel like it became pretty natural in terms of like how to manage conversation, to make it entertaining and whatnot. And for me, it was a really positive experience because we didn't get any backlash from any shark. Even though like I had nightmares of like fighting with Mr. Wonderful about whatever random thing. But luckily we got a really good reception, and they pretty much loved us. So
Yeah, well, I think it's hard not to love you. You know, it's you, it's your
I
mom, it's a
appreciate it, man.
heartwarming story. Yeah, well, I mean, you guys, both of you, you were wonderful on
That's
there, and
that's why I brought my mom, because they would say, "Oh, the poor lady doesn't talk too much English. She's so cute." That's like, okay, that will apaciguate the sharks, so they don't like jump on us and start like, screaming at us.
well, I think it's to me, it speaks volumes to be able to bring the people. I mean, nothing's well, not nothing, but there's few things that are worse than when they're like, yeah, so I have this investor or I have this partner who also owns like 50% of the company and they're not here. And it's like,
Yeah, that's
well,
true.
we'd like to talk to that person too, you know? It's kind of important that we're understanding the full picture of who we're dealing with.
Yeah, and another big thing I think that is what spoke a lot of volume for them was, when we were discussing the equity that we own for each of the company. As I mentioned, I have a full-time job. So the company is for my mom to, like she gains something, and then while we grow, and then in the future I can, live out of it. When we mentioned the equity percentage that we own, like at that time it was 20% for me and 80% my mom. Like they were like, I cannot believe that your mom owes 80%. And I know Mr. Wonder even says something like, "Oh, I Chihuahua mama" or something, which is, yes, quite hilarious.
Well, okay, but I think I mean, I think that's real though, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you weren't full time with the business, and coming from a person who lived and grew up in a family business or several family businesses, you're lucky you even own 20%,
yeah,
Manuel.
yeah,
To be true, like to be 100% truthful, like my dad didn't get to have any percentage until like my grandfather was pretty much on his way out the door as far as like life, his life being pretty much over. So, there's a lot to be said for a mother or father giving a percentage of the business at that stage of the business, and
yeah.
especially for somebody who's not working 24/7 in the business.
Wasn't, because now we changed the equity, and yeah, it's been as mentioned. 2021 was the, I'll say 2020 was the year that I really got full-time investment on the, like, time investment on the company. And then throughout 2021, because it became something really serious. We always saw it like, we always had some hats for the parties and whatnot. And it's going to be difficult because everything is handmade, and how can we scale up. But then with all the opportunities that came to our door, and how we managed to grow, like that, now I needed to be way more involved in terms of managing the business, especially.
Mm. Now, with that said, the number of SKUs, has that gone up since then? Because you had like 600 at the time, and I know I mean me and Amy J, who was my guest biz coach at the time for that episode, made like whoa, that seems like an awful lot of hats. I mean, only if you really have to stock that many hats, obviously, but. I know there was a couple comments down below that was like,
Yeah.
well, 600 is not that many, and blah blah blah, and I'm like, well, it is if you got to stock 600 hats.
It is. We don't run any inventory. So I remember I saw the episode that you posted, and that's right. We don't run any inventory. We make everything to order. So that's something that customers love, and especially here in the US. Like people do appreciate, like, oh, this is your order, your custom order. We're making it, from scratch. What we usually do is that for our like this is crazy, but our average like value of every order is like around $250. Like there's people placing orders for $2,500. We got an order like on 2020 that it was around $5,000 worth of hats, and just people buying for their weddings. And the good thing about the weddings and big parties and events is that people prepare with a lot of time, so they place orders, pay in advance $2,500, and we have to deliver the order in June. So that takes out the problem of running inventory.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, I think for me it was like if you had to supply to like say Party City or one of
Hmm.
the party stores and like supply in like all I don't know how many party cities there are across the country
Oh,
alone.
there's like 750
So
stores,
someone
something like that.
okay, my
Yeah.
guess was going to be like around 1,000, but I mean I guess that's not too far off from there. But that's a lot. If you have just one SKU and they're like, well, we want like 20 20 of those hats in each of those. I mean that it starts to add up very very quickly
Yeah.
as far as how many to produce, which is a good problem to have. Don't don't get me wrong, but it's still like it becomes a lot all at once, especially if they're not going to pay you right up front for the
Yeah. Yeah.
materials until like, oh well, we got 45-day terms or 60-day terms. Like, well, that's awesome, but that's a lot of money to put to put up
So
for
that
in the
yeah, so that
meantime.
is the thing. We and one of the I think the first company that we worked on retail was Party City, and we had two SKUs with them last year, and they're gonna have placing an order for this year. And when I mentioned that 2021 was a big year for growing and challenging, it was specifically for that because it was the first year that we invested on machinery to produce part of our products, produce it in mass. We have like a big press machine that cuts the shapes super fast as compared to what we usually do with the custom orders, which is basically a hot knife and cutting the shapes manually and whatnot. So that's the reason. One of the reasons that the hats might be pricier than other ones is in terms of quality. But yeah, that was quite a big challenge, and that's what we basically spent the entire year, figuring out. We had a bigger warehouse, trying to develop all the procedures on how to, manage inventory for like those big orders. And we that's why we this year we're more prepared to like find more wholesale companies that want to work with us, reselling our hats and whatnot.
Oh, I love that. And for me, I'm all about inventory management is one of my key pillars that I generally work with people, especially scaling up because it's not the same as getting a $5,000 order for a wedding, right? Where you have I don't know 6 months to a year to like get it together and make it happen. You have or even 3 months, but to have to be able to crank out that many hats for any amount of retailers is a undertaking, and making sure that you're putting everything's going into the right places and things aren't getting crisscrossed and things aren't getting misboxed or mislabeled or all those processes and procedures are so critical to being able to scale up, and that's awesome that you're getting to go through that and experience the
Yeah,
growing
it's
pains.
it's a growing pains, but I mean, there's no way through. Like you have to face the order. This is the first time you do it. You're gonna have a lot of things to learn from it. But again, you have to go through it, and you gotta learn. And luckily for us, and Party City, because Party City usually they have like stock in cheap products, but they love the hats that we have, and they really believe in the product, and they place what they consider a small purchase order, which is around like 5,000 hats. Well,
Wow.
compared to like if they have like some other customers that they probably order, I don't know, hundred thousands of those. And
I mean, it's not well. Just for context, that's not a lot of hats, considering you said there's 750 party cities. So unless
mhm,
I mean, if you had like a slice of America, like a region, right, like the
yeah,
Northeast region or Atlantic, Mid Atlantic region, or something where there's maybe only I don't know 50 stores across those states in one region, then it's that's still not. I mean, that's really not a lot of hats for to
Yeah,
go
exactly.
around.
But it was perfect for us because we finally got the money to invest in heavy machinery, hire more people and whatnot. So we had like a test order, you can say so. Because if they would have placed an order of like 200,000 hats, it would have been like, yeah, there's no way we can do this. So it was a perfect test to start, like, trying out the industrial capabilities of the business that we developed last year. And that's why we say we for this year we're more than ready to start like taking more volume and working with distributors and all the good stuff.
And that's a I think that's one of the those key lessons there is you don't because we see this all the time on Shark Tank where they're like, well, I got this $2 million PO here that I can't fund it because I don't have the machinery, I don't have the
No,
staff,
yeah.
don't have the procedures, I don't have the building to even do any of this, and it's just not even like I could turn out, I don't know, say even 100 hats a day or 200, even 500 hats a day with right now with my current capacity, creating $2 million worth of hats is going to take a lot, going to take a
Yeah, you're
long
yeah.
time.
It's not only that. It's like you like we had a story like when we were working with Party City. Talking with Loris and Mark team. They were saying that this is ideal because you don't want to get like a huge PO. No, sorry, a
It's
huge PO right from the start, especially with like big retail companies, because there's been cases that you receive the PO, you started investing all the money like crazy, and they told like a real story. I don't remember the name of the company, but either way, I didn't want to disclose it. That they got a $2 million PO from like a big retailer company. They worked their ass to fulfill the order, and then for some type of reason, I don't recall the reason exactly, but they back off on the PO, and like you can sue them and say like, hey, you need to pay this to me, but you're not gonna win a fight. Again, the like big retail companies, they'll just put a bunch of lawyers, and you're gonna be in court for like 5 years or so, trying to you're gonna spend more money fighting them that the money that you will get from that. So it is always ideal to start taking step by step. That's always been the philosophy with the business ourselves, especially because we own the manufacturing, as opposed to a lot of like people that go into Shark Tank. They just hire a co-packer, or like they have a fabric that does everything for them. We manage every single thing. That's what makes our product special. So yeah, we do have to be a lot, like, be really careful on how we grow.
Well, let me just throw this out there. It's not just the hats that make it special. It's you. It's your mom. It's your
Yeah.
family and the team that you've built around it that makes it special. That's one of the things that people connect with, right? Not everyone's going to know the story. Not everyone's going to read. Not everyone's going to care. And there's obviously a percentage of people that are just like, oh, that's a cool hat. I want the hat. But it's at the end of the day, it's really it's you and your mom at the center of it that makes it really special and makes it very different than
No,
me
you
just
need. Yeah.
saying, let me go find a manufacturer that can crank out some foam hats and I'll
Yeah. Yeah.
do make some designs and go to town. But and so yeah, that's a good cautionary tale for anybody who thinks they're just going to be like, oh, I just all I got to do is just sell and everything's going to
Yeah.
take care of itself. It's not. And I mean, I literally have a book that I wrote called Sales Won't Save Your Business because it won't. It literally can put your business out of business very quickly. And you're right. They will just they have lawyers on retainer.
Yeah.
They will just tie it up for years and years to come. And you will, and it's a shame that is that way because it's kind of counterproductive to like
Small
justice.
businesses. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like well, I'd say justice as a whole because we see it with so many things, but in this case, small businesses that just don't necessarily have the funds to be able to fight it.
Yep. So that's why you have to be cautious. It is what it is. I mean, you can complain all you want, but that's life. So we were really happy. I mean, at the beginning, I was like a little bit disappointed. I was like, like trying when you are on Shark Tank, you're like thinking, oh, it's gonna go so crazy. We're gonna start like millions and millions of dollars. And when we got the PO, it's like, oh, it's a little bit less than we expected, but it was a great opportunity at the end. And thank goodness, like, we didn't have a larger order, because I'm telling you, like, we spent crazy amount of time just trying to figure everything out. just to fulfill the order. Especially working with a retail company that you never work on the all the little details of fulfilling an order and all the kind of stuff that they always talk about the show, like retail is gonna kill your business. I think Mr. Wonderful is the one that says a lot. It's because they have so many particular things and difficulties, and it's challenging, but that's why it's
UPC
always good to
codes.
start small. Yeah.
It's right there. I mean, that like right there. If you're not, I mean, if you're a small, business and you're selling one to one to like the part, whoever's having the party
Yeah.
online, what do you need? UPC codes, especially if you're doing what, like literally one to one. You place the order, I'm making it. I don't need a UPC code. I don't need scanners. I don't need,
Hmm.
a system to integrate with that. And then it just it started like if you don't have the background to do it, and then you try to be like, hey, we got the $1 million coming in, baby, let's go. Like you go to zero really quick because you didn't
Yep.
do you just it's just too much all at once. And I will say, if you have the investment money, you can money can solve lots of problems, but you're gonna burn a lot of money to learn those
Yeah.
lessons
Yeah.
in the process.
No, and the fun thing, like it's funny that you mentioned UPC codes, because I remember, like, oh, you need to have a UPC codes, like, oh, damn it, we don't have any UPC codes for our products. And then you go online and start figuring everything out, like, how do I name the UPCs? And then like 100 different nomenclatures for UPCs, and they have a particular one, and then you're like, how to get UPCs, especially for my products. So it's part of the learning process. But yeah, it's the little things that you never expect. It's like when you think about, oh, I'm gonna sell to Walmart. It's like, oh yeah, I'll just send them a million hats. Just deal with that. It's not that. Not like that.
So okay, so you're walking down the hallway to the floor, to the carpet. Are you nervous? What are you feeling? What's going through your mind?
Oh my god, I think you're just nervous, but once you start talking, you just figure out that you're just discussing something with regular people. You're scared because you see them on TV and you think they're like, I don't know, some kind of aliens or something like that. But once you get there, and they start like, you get there, the first thing, we got in with like a bunch of hats and whatnot, and they started laughing right on the when we came in. So that is a good sign. It's like, okay, everyone is chill, everybody's laughing. That's the right start. um and we were the first ones on that day that we filmed, so that's also like a relief, because we didn't have to wait for like 4 hours on the lobby waiting for the, just now it's your turn. So we just got into the morning, like, right away. So walking down the aisle wasn't that bad. I'll say the most nerve wracking part is like waiting to start the pitch. When you get into the studio, and you have to wait a little bit, and then you start your pitch. That was the most like nerve wracking part, because you're staring at the sharks eye to eye, and they're just waiting for you to start, and you're like waiting for the go from the producers. That was, and you have this. You start looking at the eyes, and then you start like smiling, like you don't know what to do with your face. But then when you start going, you feel fine.
That's a fair point. I was talking to another Manuel Godoy, who was just on from Black Sands Entertainment,
Hmm.
and I asked him the same question, and because he's like, oh, I was pumped and psyched, and I was like, yeah, but then you get to the and
And you're
not
like,
everybody realizes that you have to stand there for a few minutes and wait, and it's almost like icing the kicker, in football.
it is that is the worst. I remember that vividly, like just staring at them, like you don't know where to watch, you know which one to. You don't want them thinking, because they always say like, oh, so you came here to do a specific deal with this person, so you're kind of aware, like giving eye contact to every one of them and making like a solid eye contact, so they don't they like, you show that you're not intimidated, you're confident. So all this kind of stuff, you're running, like it's running through your mind. But it's that, it's weird. But then you start talking, the pitch goes on, you get rid of that.
And to add, the to the craziness of it all, like you were the first season where the Sharks were sitting further away and further away from themselves, and I know they had some speakers behind them, but you had no way of hearing them outside of like them talking as if you were standing. right here next, like in front of them. And some of the other people that I've had on the show have talked about that it was kind of challenging to be able to, because they're always talking over each other and things like that.
Hmm.
And you hear it in the editing a little bit, especially older episodes. But was that an added? Do you feel like that was an added level of challenge compared to like what you watched all the way up till that point?
I wouldn't. I mean, I think the only part that I kind of felt that I was like anxious about they speaking because when Daniel gave me the offer and he told me that I had to quit, and then Mark Cuban was saying no, don't quit, and then Lori started he's like Lori she started talking with Mark like from far away, and at the meantime Daniel was speaking with me, and Daniel was between both of them. So I was like listening to Daniel, but I saw Lori on on this vision of my eye, and then Mark on the other vision of the eye. So it was like, oh my God, where do I look? Like I want to pay attention to what they're trying to say, but I don't want to be disrespectful with Daniel because he's talking to me. So that will be the only thing that I'll say is challenging because, and also I didn't have reference. I didn't have like I didn't do it before, so I didn't have a reference of how it was, when they were closer together. If that makes sense. Maybe
Well,
someone
because they
like
were
maybe
pretty much all in their field of view versus
yeah,
now
exactly.
you're and you know what, and the editors. I mean, look, they have world class producers and editors there. As an editor myself, like I can rather tell you with no doubt in my mind that though they are the best editors, but they will also make you look really silly if Daniel's talking and you're like
Yeah,
looking over to
certainly. Yeah.
Mark. They will point that out in a heartbeat, and make it a sticking point to tell the story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that I think is a really big lesson there, that when you're trying to convey to somebody, but at the same time you're also delaying. You really need like the ultimate poker face because you don't want to show any emotion because you got the camera, like you got the lights that are probably making you sweat bullets, even if you're. I mean, we see people on there, that literally are like taking the cloth and like
Hmm.
wiping their forehead because it's hot in those places. The lights are on. There's no air conditioning because you don't want
Actually, the
noise. Was
the
there air
the
conditioning?
the crazy thing is that the place is super cold. Like it is super cold when you
Mm,
walk into the tank. But like going to that point, like I after we were done with the show, we spent like 1 hour and a half probably talking with them.
mm-hmm.
When I got to my room, like I touched my shirt and it was drenched in sweat, and I didn't
Uh,
notice at all. But it's
wow.
like that. Like you're on top of your feet. You're just like super stressed out, thinking about a million different things at the time, but you're not actually thinking about them. It's just like your body going through all of them. And it's funny when I watched the episode, like I started realizing all the little perks that you do when you are like you have anxiety. So I when they started fighting with each other, I saw the episode, and I always when I get anxious, like I start like getting my calluses in the hand, and I saw the entire episode. Like at that point I was like just ripping off my hand during the episode because I was like super anxious of what to say and what not, because it's going me to quit my job, and then the other one was saying no, and then just like, oh my God, what the hell do I do here? But yeah, it was fun. Retrospect.
You're literally changing the course of your life, like before
Yeah.
your eyes.
Yeah, no,
But
it's but but
okay.
you that's the thing, like you don't think about it, like you're just talking with people, and then like you kind of understand the repercussions of whatever you're saying and whatever your decisions are making, but at that time it's not like you completely understand it. You're like going with your gut, if you can say. So you're not actually thinking it's like, oh my God, this is gonna change my life, but that reflects in the way you behave or your body behaves. And I know that just because I told you, like I never touch my hands, but when I anxious as hell, I start like ripping my calluses, and I couldn't stop doing it at that part of the episode.
Oh man, and of course that you'll pick up on that kind of stuff because it's you, right? But other people might, or the editors might, where they'll literally like zoom in on the hands and like to point that kind of thing out to show the stress that you're going through. And I mean, other people that have been on the show had said like, you're out there for a quote long time, because I know it's like 45 minutes plus, Could
Mm-hmm.
be an hour, could be an hour and a half. I've heard as long as like 2.5 hours. But it goes by so quick that it's like it's over before you even feel like you've been out there for 10 minutes.
That is the sad part, like because you honestly, I enjoy the entire experience. Like I felt the sharks were all great with us, and I'm guessing just because how we presented the business, we were like not trying to bullshit them at all, or like this is the business, this is what it is, and it's fun, and we had a great personality, and we're not like all of them were really, they always get great, gave great feedback. Even for example, Mr. Wonderful, he told us like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. You guys are great people, but I'm out because whatever." So you're like, that is great. Like I wasn't expecting Mr. Wonderful to come up with something like that. I was thinking about fighting with him for whatever reason. So that kind of that kind of things make the episode really really great. But then when like we got the first offer and Daniel Luzbecki said like, yeah, I'll give you the money, but you gotta quit your job. That's when, like, like you tense up because it's becoming super serious.
Now, I did in the episode, and I forgive me, but what did you say? What you do or what you were doing at the time for a job?
So I'm a chemical engineer, but I work in a
I think
consulting.
you did
Yeah,
mention that. I think.
I
Yeah. Okay.
mentioned.
I apologize. Usually I get to watch these ahead of time before I
No,
go
that's
do the
fine.
interviews. As
It's
didn't.
been a while, so I understand.
Yes, it has. It has been a little while. So okay. So I mean, that's a tall order, but I imagine you have some degrees or something to be able to do that, right? So it's not like you couldn't get another chemical engineering job if you had to.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why even I'll say like you fake it till you make it. When Danielle said like, "Oh, I'll give you the offer, but this and the conditions," I was like I didn't even think about it. Like again, it's not like you're actually thinking. I wasn't actually thinking what the repercussions of it. You're just going with your guts. So I was like, hell yeah! Like if you're gonna, if you believe in this and you're saying that we need to do this, I'll take it. I'll sacrifice it and see from there. So that's why right away I say yes. But maybe if you gave me a thing to actually think about everything, that would have been differently. But gut instinct, you just fake it till you make it. Poker face. Yes, I'll do it. And luckily, that started a discussion with Mark saying no, don't quit, and then Lori jumped into to make Mark like ask Mark to jump into the deal, and it was super crazy. Even like they left out a bunch of stuff that that they weren't recorded at the end of the episode when we agreed on the deal with Mark and Lori, which is was hilarious, but it was yes, really really nerve wracking.
Well, so yeah, so I mean, when I watched that, I felt like that was kind of bullyish a little bit, and I was also surprised that Mark was like, "No, no, 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 don't quit your job," because I feel like he is not recommend like he's been the opposite in past. I think it was him in past episodes where he told people, "Yeah, you should quit your job and do this if you want to take it seriously."
Maybe yeah, maybe the numbers at the time weren't like ideal to quit a job, but again, like at the time we went to the town, we were still like super, you know, raw in the sense like we just started selling on Amazon. We hadn't invested at all in business. Like the business has grown at that point has grown completely just word of mouth, and we're talking about like 100% fall every year. So I can understand maybe saying like, oh, this is still you don't have the money, like, the money to quit your job and whatnot, or maybe he was empathetic. I don't know,
Hmm.
but that it made for a great show. That's what's important.
Ding ding for that. It totally did. So did it take you a little bit of thought to wind up going with Mark and Lori, or like in real time, not in TV time?
In real time now, like I mean, they have been amazing to work with. The Marcus Cuban team and George's team. They're just amazing people. That like it's not. It's funny because they always say the way they show the sharks. Oh, it's all about money and making revenue. It's not at all like that. They're like superhuman people. They manage you in the sense of like they always try to keep you motivated. Like they listen to you, like they listen to your ideas, say they help you out with whatever you need help with. So it was the right decision. I feel sorry. Well, I did want to work with Daniel, because when since the moment we got into the tank, like the idea of our products and how we grew, it's with something called the Hora Loca, which is something super popular in Venezuela. And when we talk about that, how the business grow and how we have such a large order values from 250 to $5,000. Most of the sharks were like, what the hell, why are people spending so much money on the hats? But like Daniel understood the reason why we had these large orders, because he's Mexican, so he knew about the culture of the hats and whatnot, and he was really really excited about the product. But the fact that he made me, like two sharks, less equity, and me not having to quit my job, I think there's a lot of like, maybe, uh, I don't know who will pass that opportunity.
I know I wouldn't. And
Yeah,
Daniel's awesome. And if I had a food product, I probably would still go with him over Mark and Lori. Maybe I don't know. That's a tough call, right? Because Mark and Lori both bring so much to the table, and the less equity part is definitely a key factor as well.
yeah,
That if it wasn't that what you're doing, and it was like food, I think it would be a lot harder decision to
yeah,
make.
yeah. That's true.
Um, so that is absolutely awesome, and it's so great to hear. I mean, you're not the first one to tell me that. At least Mark's team has been amazing to get to work
Yeah,
with,
they
and
are
I've heard
amazing.
Mark is like, you send him an email at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and he's like literally in 10 minutes he's getting back to you.
It is amazing. Like I think he's one of the few people that he has like his email is public, and like
Mm,
random people can just email him. And I think he there was a story that a guy pitched him his business through email, and he invested on the guy's business or something like that. But yeah, he always provide, like, the summary of what we're doing month to month, by quarter and whatnot. And they always provide like really valuable insights on what we're doing. And like, this is the cash flow, this is the balances, this is the revenues. And they ask like key questions like, oh, make sure that you don't have any debt or stuff like that. Especially with Mark is a more high level, but you work more closely with the uh, Mars Cuban team specifically.
mm, hmm. Well, that is, I mean, that still is great to hear. And so all right, so a year later, when did you wind up quitting your job?
I'm still not
Or
quitting my
did
job.
you? You
not
haven't.
not yet, not yet. But I foresee, that the when we went to Shark Tank, the 2019 was our best year. As mentioned, we're just growing word to word mouth. We did I don't know, I think it's 100 and something thousand dollars just doing word to mouth, which was pretty great.
Yeah.
The year of Shark Tank, which is 2020, which, like, by the time we went to Shark Tank, the sales were by the floor. We managed to end up the year closing with $220,000 in sales. And last year we managed to grow 110%, and we did around $430,000 in sales, which, like, for us, maybe compared to other companies that, they're going to tank, we go back to the point that since we own the manufacturing and we have everything handmade, we never thought we can, get to this point that we're managing, like big orders and making a ton of hats, and being able to generate so much revenue. And we can do much more now that we had the previous year that was preparation for, like, industrial process, sending inventory to Amazon FBA, whatnot. We're ready to take, like, the next step of industrializing and making hats by the bunch.
And how have you been able to balance all that? I mean, obviously, it's a huge amount of growth and a huge amount of change in a relatively short period of time. How are you balancing that with your day job?
Just a lot of working hours, man. There's no secret for that. Like weekends, yeah, as I'm telling you, like 2021 was a crazy year for us. We're talking about like maybe, I don't know, 8 to 10 to 12 hour working days, even the weekends. But once you see, it's not actual work when it's your business. You enjoy every step of the process. You learn so much, like so much about every single thing. UPC codes, inventory, dealing with distributors, contracts, all this kind of stuff. So it's rewarding. So you don't think about the, you don't see it as, oh, I'm working 100 hours a week. You're just putting efforts to growing your business, which is completely different as working. So you enjoy it. Sometimes it gets frustrating, but I mean, if you're a business owner, you're gonna get through that point, whether you like it or not. Nobody goes through, oh, I made a business and now I'm a millionaire. It's not that way.
Well, if you watch some of the face or the YouTube ads that are probably playing before this video,
No, yeah, that
it
is all
sounds
lies.
ding ding for that. Yeah, they the results may vary.
That's true.
No, that is awesome, and to get to work with your mom, like what's as again as a person who grew up in a family business and has worked in my family's business since from the age of 6, and still does things with that business. What kind of feeling do you get being able to work with your mom?
Well, just being completely honest, when the episode aired on Shark Tank, we did like probably 80K on a night on sales, which is like half of what we did last year in just one day. For the next couple of
Wow.
weeks, we almost strangled each other. But we managed. We learn from the experience, and we have found really good ways of working together. Just trying to balance everything out. For example, if we on the weekends we try to go do something, have lunch, and try not to talk about the business, because sometimes we just talk and talk and talk about the ideas and all the stuff. But the biggest thing for us is, and something that we're doing for 2022, that we learned from 2021, is that we are just starting to, we have a bunch of new employees, and we have employees that have been with us for 2 years or so. So we're just like delegating more of the production part, so the business runs without us, on the day-to-day basis, and we just focus on growing the business. My mom being on the creative side, making new hats, developing new ideas, organizing the stuff in the business and whatnot, and myself just finding, growing the business, finding new opportunities, new ideas. Something that we started doing in 2022 that is going pretty well is that, of course, we open a TikTok account, and we are like we just started posting videos last Monday, the what
Um,
the 10. We started posting
yes.
videos on the 10, and we already have one video that went viral for like 1 million views, and there's like a bunch of other videos going viral. So it's amazing what TikTok can do for a business, especially a business like ours that is all about fun, and we can do really fun content, and that kind of stuff. So that is the goal for this year, organize the business so everything runs without us, and we can just focus on developing the brand and coming up with new ideas.
Yeah, no, that is awesome, and look, that is supernatural for everybody to want to get at each other's throats when trying to make a business operate. Had plenty of fights with my dad, both my grandfather and him as well, but it does come with the territory and is not for everybody. I mean, owning a business is not necessarily for everybody. Being involved in a family business is really like like a subsect of a subsect of people can do that and be able to do that. And I think that the valuable lesson there is that you're working toward like clear goals of like let's talk about
Mhm.
anything but the business. And it's hard. It's really hard.
It's really hard because you always like think, oh, can you imagine doing this, or oh, why don't we do this? Is that is the biggest thing about owning a business that is kind of exhausting. Well, exciting and exhausting is that your mind is going all over, like going on ideas, and oh, I should do this, oh, I should do this, oh, why don't I do this, like every single day, every through the weekends and whatnot. So it's difficult not to annoy people when because you're always trying to discuss about your business or ideas, or you see opportunities, anywhere, as opposed to like people maybe, well, I don't know, you see opportunities and ways to grow in everything, and your mind never shuts.
As a person that lives that life, it's tough to even have real life conversation. Like real life everything ends up sounding like small talk because you're like, I got this going on, this business and that, and then I get with together with my dad, and he's talking about his businesses, and I'm talking about my businesses, and then we talk about the things that I can help him with in his businesses, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I always say, build your business for your lifestyle, not your lifestyle for your business. But that's
Mm-hmm.
a really fine line and a really hard, like, tightrope to walk. But I mean, that's the goal is to not necessarily, like you were saying, like work 10 to 13 to 10, 12, 13 hour days, 7 days a week forever. Even though we love what we do, there is more to life outside the
Yeah.
box.
Yep, that's true. It's a
So
different mindset.
it is a different mindset, and it's a different season of life for everybody, and this season for the business as well, what needs to be done at a certain time, is if I always say, like, when the chips are down, you gotta be able to swing the bat. and
Yep.
uh and that's the thing. It's like, you can go take that lunch with your mom. It's not gonna and the business is not gonna come to a crashing halt, but you know it might mean that you got to put an extra hour in at the end of it. You might have to do something else uh, that does it. But it's good that you guys get together and are able to spend that time together, because not everybody does, and it's a very special thing to be able to work with family, even though it's not always the best
So yeah,
experience in the moment.
you can hear terrible stories from people who are working with their family. What I usually do, I have my older brother lives in Barcelona. When my mom is too stressed out, I just tell her, just go 1 month, just live for 1 month, come back, relax, and come back and you'll be fine. And sometimes that does the trick.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, being able to get away, and to, I mean, Barcelona is awesome. I've been there
Oh, it's
before.
beautiful.
Very very cool city. Very very cool city. Very, yeah, very beautiful. So yeah. So anyway, Manuel, I can't say how much I appreciate you taking the time today in your very busy schedule to come here on the Super Joe part of the show and give this amazing interview with so many great insights. Is there anything that I missed, or anything you'd like to, like, leave? Any other advice you'd like to give to the entrepreneurs, the super entrepreneurs out there watching right now?
First of all, thank you for having me. I know it was a long time due, but as mentioned, the last year was pretty crazy. Uh, for me, the biggest advice will be just take everything one step at a time. Is when you start, like, when you start seeing the big picture, you don't know how to get there, but then, like, just tell yourself, oh, I'm just gonna do this little thing. Just do one step at a time, one little thing at a time, and then just start building up from that. And it just you just have to give it time. It's nothing happens between 1 or 2 hours, happens in years, and you will see that only when you start doing it, and you see along the year. Yep, that'll be my advice.
Yeah, I could not agree more. You just got to keep pushing, keep growing, and remember that everything doesn't happen overnight. Like, it'll seem like overnight, when you look
Yep,
back. But
yep, that's true.
I mean, look, I mean, even your Shark Tank experience, right? Like, that was probably feels like it was just like a couple weeks ago, and it's been a year. I mean, we've lived in the
It's,
time warp for 2 years now, so
oh my God, yes. Time has been a construct for the past 2 years. Sometimes it flies by. Sometimes just spend like entire year in a month, and it's yes, being super crazy.
absolutely. Oh God, yeah, absolutely. What? Real quick, how did you come to find out about the video? By the way, before we wrap up here.
Oh, I think I never got into searching. When you go into Shark Tank, you see all like blog posts, Reddit discussions, stuff like that. I never like went to check on those just because I never thought about it. And it's like, oh, I'm just gonna search Phone Party Hats on YouTube and Google. And then I saw the review of the video. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I didn't know this happened. And that's when I put the comment to see if we can, you know jump into the podcast, the video. I don't know how to,
Yeah, yeah,
the
the
show. Yeah, I can
the
say
interview.
show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I that's no, that's all. It's great that I did it when I did, and you happen to get the get
Yeah,
it
that's true.
in your mind, right? You put an idea out into the world, and then the idea goes everywhere, the global consciousness kind of thing. But that's so awesome, Manuel. Thank you, Super Manuel. Thank you again so much for being here with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. And if you've enjoyed this video, obviously you have, because you've been watching for like almost an hour now. Please go and check out one of these other two videos that'll be over here somewhere. And I hope you have an amazing day. Take care.